This is Interesting Humans Podcast. My name is Jeff Hopek, your host, where we go past the highlight reel and into the moments that actually shape a life. The struggles, the mistakes, the pivots, because the real lessons aren't found in success. They're found in everything you took to get there. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Interesting Humans Podcast. My name is Jeff Hopek, your host. Today I have Samara. Folks, most people think they know their own story, me included, and frankly, I would bet money on it that I know my own story, where they've been, what shaped them, why they are the way they are. But what happens when a piece of your life gets buried so deeply that you don't even know that it existed? Today's guest didn't come on the podcast to tell a story that he remembered. He came on to tell a story that he uncovered. A truth from when he was between 2 and 5 years old that ended up changing everything throughout his entire life. Lou, thanks for being here today.
Have me, Jeff.
And being willing to share this challenging story. So most people think they know their own story. Me included. I would say, yeah, I know my story, but I don't think I know it anymore. What happens when a piece of our life is buried so deep that we don't even know that it existed? What happens there? We're going to talk about that today. So with Lou, his story is that he didn't remember. He didn't have a recollection, right?
Correct.
He had no recollection. So you're here to share a story. It's not something that you remember. It's actually the opposite. So you came on to tell a story that you uncovered.
Right.
4.5 decades into life. And we're going to talk about what happens in the brain that we can compartmentalize that. I can't wait to hear some of these answers. So it's a truth that came from when you were between 2 and 5 years old that really reshaped and changed everything across your life.
Correct.
So before we get into it, let me ask you, what should listeners understand about you today?
Today, I'm very fortunate. I have a great life. I'm blessed. I'm married to a beautiful woman. We have a fabulous marriage. We have a great relationship with my son, who's from a first marriage, and he's married now and doing great. We're going out this weekend to visit him and his wife for his birthday. We all get along. Even his mom and I and his grandmother, the whole side, we all get along fine. So our life, we don't have the relational stresses I did years ago. Yeah. And all of that, everything else is great. I'm on purpose. I'm living, I got a second, third company going and just out there hitting PRs in the gym. I'm like, I did PRs in the gym.
Which is
before.
Incredible. I want to put some of that B-roll in this episode. You're doing some incredible squats
and deadlifts and one-arm press and kettlebell stuff.
What was the one video you showed me, like hundreds of pounds you deadlifted?
365 deadlift.
And you're how?
I'm 63.
I love it.
So
that's incredible right there.
So my life has changed. If I was
Sure.
before, I don't think I would have been as healthy now, too. My health is really good.
Yeah, because something came into alignment, and that's what we're gonna get into. So, okay, and your son's got a fascinating job.
He does.
Right.
Great career.
Tell us a little bit about that. I love it.
So he's into video, and he grew up with a camera at 13, and he started, working in a church with our church and videoing, and then by 15 he was directing 5 cameras, 2 screens, and now he works for Hendrick Motorsports and Motor Group, and he does a lot of their videos, and he drives a $250,000 Porsche chasing after $1 million Ferraris, and he's videoing them, man. I'm like, what a great life you have. I want that life.
That's awesome.
So he's having a blast. Yeah.
That's so cool.
He's married. He loves his wife. They're really, everything is good.
Yeah. So it's awesome. All right, let's talk about life before the big discovery. Mm-hmm. So before therapy, what felt off? Because we don't wake up
right
and just say, I'm going to start therapy today. What wasn't working?
So, most of us don't really pay attention to what's going on under the surface, right? You grow up, here's what your parents did, here's what you do, what are you going to do, go to school, get a job, what's your career, I don't know. I never knew. But I always had a gnawing feeling that something wasn't right, but I didn't know what that was. It was just like I was always searching for something.
Yeah.
And most of my life, I thought I was searching for freedom. I wanted to be free of, right?
Sure.
Just anything that held you back. And right before we discovered what we're going to talk about, life was rough for me. So I had just come off a 12-year career as a police officer. I finished as SWAT and training. So that was, I love SWAT, man. It's just kicking indoors. Sorry, but for the guys, you get it.
Yeah.
But, and you get it, you're law enforcement, And so loved that. But after having our son, things started to change. And I'm very kinesthetic, so I feel a lot, and I felt dirty coming home to my son. And I was like, this is weird. I mean, I just, arrested somebody or had to put somebody out or whatever, out of their house or whatever. And I come home and I go, he's so pure, and I was dirty because I was dealing with these people, right? So those kind of things were there, but there was never anything that, maybe a little insecurity, right? Like Sure. If you came up and said, man, you're this, I'd go, no, I'm not, I'll kick your butt, man,
Right.
So, well, I'd say other things, right?
Right.
But just was never truly content. Maybe that's the point there.
Yeah.
I was never I moved to Colorado. I didn't want to, I'm from New Jersey. Grew up there. Italian Catholic family, great family, every Sunday, pasta at grandma's, But, all the good stuff, but food was like, man, you got to have food. And everything was about food. And everything was about family. But I knew I had to get away, and that's why I went to Colorado. But I still didn't know why.
Yeah. No idea. That's incredible. All right. So, and you're what age?
Into my 30s. I mean, I had a career in law enforcement until I was 38, something like that. Yeah, 38, 39, 37. So.
How does this phrase sit with you? When your insides match your outsides.
Yeah.
How does that, what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
It means you're, maybe the word is integrity or congruent, right? You're in alignment, really. That's the easiest way. You're in alignment. In the mid-90s, I started down the self-development path and started listening to a lot of people, and they say your inner world creates your outer world. And I'm like, what does that mean? I never got that, right? What is it about my inner world? What does that mean? Is that my spirit? Is that my soul? Is that my mind? Is that my gut? Who knew, right? And then, but what I've learned is that subconscious mind is always working, and it's always there. And that is where, to me, the Lord meets us. That's where we meet ourselves, is in our inner mind.
So you looked great. Let's go into your 30s. You looked great. You were fit. You were all that stuff. Yeah. And to the general public's going to look at you and go, you got it all together, right? Does that sound pretty accurate?
All the time. People always said, man, you're great, man. We wish we were like you. And I'm like, you do? I wish I was like you. I was just never felt whole, maybe. There's something.
It's great. So searching. Then an event happens. And you get on a plane, you fly to Oklahoma, take over.
All right. So building up to that event, I was no longer on a SWAT team. I was working in corporate America in the pharmaceutical industry, fixing lab equipment, and just not having, our marriage was not in a good place, and that eventually was failing pretty close there. I had been in marriage counseling for 8 years by myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? My former wife, she was in for 6 months and said, I'm good, you keep going. So I thought I had to fix myself. I'm like, okay,
That's it, we're men.
Just for fun, being from New Jersey, Italian, my counselor was a female Jersey Italian woman from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
And she said to me one day, and I finally woke up, she says, "You're bending over so far backwards, you're kissing your own ass. You don't need to be here." I said, okay. But then, what's wrong with me? Wow. Why am I still here? Why do I still feel like I need something to help me?
Right.
Well, going into my late 30s, in 2000, my dad passed. He was 62 years old. We were supposed to have lunch the day him and my mom went on a vacation. They went through Pennsylvania. I was in Delaware, so I didn't get to see them. That night, he dropped dead in the hotel room with my mom giving him CPR. Never saw my dad again. So that was crushing.
What age were you right there?
I was late 30, 36, 37.
Okay, yeah, just one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, so that started this whole, turmoil going on in the marriage, the job, I wasn't happy with the job, blah, blah, not fitting there. And then, but it always seemed like everybody was against me. My life was hard, right? The guys that I worked with, here's what they tell me. Well, you intimidate people. And I go, I work for the owner. How do I intimidate you? You're the owner of the company, I'm like, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
But strong personality, always wanted to grow, not knowing anything yet. Mm-hmm. My dad dies 2000 on 9/11. My ex and I were in the hospital doing the ultrasound. The towers are falling, and the baby is dead in utero. So we had to have a stillborn. So we lost a child on 9/11. To make it even harder, the radiologist, the man who was going to read that and tell us, his brother was on the 82nd floor of the tower. We were all crying. Like, he lost his brother, we losing our child. It was a really hard day.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the next event. We were dealing with that, just about ready to file for divorce, back and forth. Then I lose my job. Monday morning of Thanksgiving week, the company sold to a bigger corporation, and they said, hey, in October, and they were cleaning house, but we didn't know that.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, we're going to come up and help you grow your region. And I thought, man, I'm excited. These guys, we're going to finally grow this business for them. And they let me go. So I was in SWAT mode then, man. I was ready to.
Gosh.
So that was Monday of Thanksgiving. And again, it wasn't going well. Like I'd say to the guy, said, well, you look pretty upset. And I'm like, what are you, an idiot? Like you just let me go.
Yeah.
Right in the holiday week with a 7-year-old, with mortgage, with a wife who didn't, like no heart.
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, not even that week after, right? That week. And when I said to him, he says, well, you look upset. I said, you could have waited till after a holiday. And he says, would it have made any difference? That's when it took more self-control than I ever thought I had, because I was across my desk, man. I was still jacked like a SWAT cop, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, left, started my own company. Best thing I ever did, started my own business. By January 1st, I had my first client, very large blood company, did Quest diagnostic company, and started going. Well, a lot of stress starting the company. And so that was into end of 03 into 04.
Okay.
And I was living with my mom.
Jersey?
Jersey.
New Jersey.
My Italian mom, widowed, and just, she's still going. We're tighter now than we were then. This is, life is really good now, right?
Yeah,
but
you're
then,
about 39.
Yeah.
30.
And I was still, still thought I was the dude,
Yeah.
But I started getting this weird feeling when I pray. So some nights when I pray, I'd be like, something is in the room with me. And I'm like, and all my mind could picture is this, just like this image of something holding a sickle in a black robe with like a cow head with horns. And I'm like, and it happened for weeks and weeks. And I'm like, so the one night I was flipped out. I'm like, all of a sudden I felt like my mom is going to knock down the door and kill me.
Yeah.
My mom,
Yeah.
the SWAT cop. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I called a friend of mine. His name is Charles. Charles is a Messianic Christian, so he's Jewish, then Christian. I'm trying to remember this exactly. A certified counselor and the president of an oil and gas company in Oklahoma. So I was like, this guy is a wild dude, man.
Gosh.
And he owned property in Colorado. So we really connected.
Yeah. Wow.
Big dude, cowboy, but just a great dude. So I call him. It's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I said, Charles, I need your help, brother. He goes, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I feel like my mom's going to kick in the door and kill me. And he's like, all right, well, obviously she's not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell. I mean, I still feel that like, wow.
I feel it. I sense it.
You know?
Yep.
So he goes, all right, well, tell me what's happening. I said, I don't know. I told him about that image. And he says, all right, let me ask you some questions. And I don't remember all the questions. But what he was asking me was about my childhood, about my past. And he was very calm and very neutral. He knew not to lead me. He knew not to stir me up. He just asked, what about this? Tell me about X, Y, Z. Tell me about this. And after about 10 minutes, I was starting to calm a little bit. And then he said, well, tell me about, why do you think it is you can't remember anything before your age of 5? And I said, I don't know. I said, doesn't matter to me. I didn't care, right? Who cares? It was my childhood. I had a great childhood is what I thought.
Right.
Parents loved me. I had 3 sisters. We're all good. We had a great life. Family was always together. And then we grew up and had our own families, and, we still love each other. He said, nope, don't go. Can't let that one go. I said, what do you mean? He goes, no. He said, you're blocking something. And I said, what do you mean I'm blocking something? He said, typically if you can't remember a portion of your life, your subconscious mind is blocking it for a reason.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't know. So we just kept the conversation going. And then he says to me, Lou, I think you were sexually abused as a child.
What?
And I said, the whole word, I said, F you, I was not abused. I was a cop.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't laugh, which is what I would have done, right? I would have laughed. Yeah, okay, right, dude.
We all would have.
Yeah. He said, no. You weren't a cop when you were 5 years old. And I broke down sobbing. And he said, okay, go get a hotel room, get a glass of wine, just calm down, which I was happy about that part.
Yeah.
He said, and get on a plane. I'll be in Oklahoma for the week, and come see me tomorrow. That was 2004. I paid $960 for an airline ticket. I went to a hotel room, paid $300 that night. I left the house and said, Ma, I got to go. I love you. I'll see you in a couple days. She goes, where are you going? I go, I got work to do. I got to do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of normal for me because I had started this company and had 24/7 clients. So she was okay.
Mom's not like, my son lost it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's normal. Got it.
So got on a plane and went to see Charles in Oklahoma and spent a week there.
All right. Wow. That's incredible. The blocking has me like amazed. I can't wait to hear this next part. So there's a moment that everything changed. And I want to get to the second, but let's start framing it in. So you meet with Charles, you're still like probably thought you were pretty normal at that point. Like I might have some stuff wrong, but I don't have anything huge wrong. What was the phrase? What was the sentence? What was the thinking? What did he ask? How did this unpack?
Charles was a brilliant counselor, but he was very anointed is a good word in the Christian language. Anointed means he had a blessing that he could help people through things. Mm-hmm. And he was one tough dude, though. He still is, but very strong, but very confident, but calm, right? So that helps, right, when you're dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he said, look, we're just gonna meet, and we're gonna just pray right now, okay? And he said, I have my Bible, and he says, we're gonna ask the Lord for help on this. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. He said, but the first thing you have to do, Lou, is you have to come clean. And I go, what did I do? What do you mean I have to come clean? He goes, well, in that world, things that, in life, we call it sin, right? It's missing the mark, doing things that we know are wrong. And he said, you need to admit those all to God so that he knows you're sincere. And I said, like what? And he goes, well, everything. And I go, well, I don't know, like everything. Yeah. I was very immature in the way of that emotional part. Like, what, I mean, I'm in my late 30s. I should have been a little more mature, but I never had to develop that part of my body, right?
You were probably never allowed to feel an emotion in your entire life growing up. Right? I mean,
there you go.
Got it. Totally.
So I said, okay, well, I thought of things I did, and I went through it, okay? I took this when I was a kid. I did things with drugs that I shouldn't have done. I did things with women that I shouldn't have done, and I started saying, okay, Lord, but sincerely, I had to unpack that and let that out, and that was embarrassing because we think when we do stuff, it's all just us, us and the person. Or just us. A lot of people, it's just us.
Lonely.
Right? Lonely. Yep. But because the way we're designed, we're connected. And we're connected with God. And the emotion is a connection to other people, right? So even if it's something online or something on a phone or, right? We're all connected. So that's why being in person doing this is we could feel each other, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So I did that. I took an hour and just sincerely tried to relax. See, that was the other part of it, Jeff, was I didn't know how to get into, just whatever came up was, okay, that's enough. Yeah. No, go deep. I go, what does go deep mean? Well, listen to your own mind, your subconscious mind. What is that? Thank God I had been reading some self-development books, but I didn't know what that was.
Right.
But we have that. That's our subconscious mind. It's part of who we are. It's part of our existence. Sure. Right? Nowadays, it's easy, right? People know about it, but 20 years ago, people knew about it, but it wasn't like
it wasn't being talked about.
It wasn't being talked about on a podcast or YouTube or not Instagram posting about my subconscious.
3 ways to tap into your subconscious mind, right? Yep.
So it was very difficult, but I did that. Yeah. And then he said, okay. Not easy. So, but with any woman I did out of wedlock, there's a soul tie, is what he explained. So I literally was doing this. I cut those ties off me. Lord, it was wild stuff, man. I was like, what am I doing? But I did it. And I believed it. And I wanted it off my life because I wanted to feel whole. I wanted freedom. I was telling you, freedom was my driver for this.
Yeah.
What kind of freedom? I just had this gnawing feeling that I wasn't in control. And it's because for 40 some odd years, I blocked that out. I wasn't in control. My emotions were running around, bouncing around in there somewhere. I still don't know how it works.
Yep.
So we did that. And then that's where it all started to change. Charles said, okay, here's what he did. He said, I believe there's a generational curse on you from your family. And I'm like, what is that? All right, I've read about it in the Old Testament. What is that about, man? Right. On me? Why me? Right away. Right. What did I do? Nothing. It's generational. My mind immediately went to a doctor who I met probably 5 years before that. And he was doing some tests on me, and he says, you have a little chink in the armor on your DNA. And I go, what do you mean, Doc? I had a genetic test done, and I have a null mutation in my DNA. And it's about oxidative stress, and I don't assimilate vitamin B or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The doc didn't see that genetic test yet. He did another different test, and he says, somebody in your family had gonorrhea or syphilis in your family line. And I thought, I didn't know. What does that mean, right?
Yeah, right.
But that's what caused that mutation. So when Charles said there was a generational curse of sexual sin in my family line, my world blew up. I'm like, what? I started digging because I was furious.
Yeah.
And found out that family members on my dad's side, not my dad, not that I know of, but other members related to him were having all kinds of parties and swapping wives and doing stuff. And I was like, what? And I called a cousin of mine who's 10 years younger than me, and we're close, and she went through a lot herself. And I said, yo, what's going on? I said, here's what I'm hearing. She goes, oh yeah, didn't you know my dad and my uncle all the time? I was like, what?
Wow.
All that stuff affects us. We don't know it. We think it's just them and their stuff.
Yeah.
But it's when you study your lineage, I was blown away. So this is all happening with me and Charles, sitting in this room, going through blessings and curses.
Yeah.
I just sat there. I opened up to it.
Yeah.
But what he did was he broke that curse off my life. Now, what he said and did, I don't recall because it was so powerful. And when we were done with that part of that session, I felt totally relieved. I was like, he said, go look in the bathroom mirror at yourself. And I looked like I was 20 years old. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way, this isn't real. It is real. So that was where that whole thing changed.
Yeah.
That was the first week I was with him.
Right.
And then he sent me home. He said, and you need to come back in a month because we got to deal with what you went through. But that's how it set me up to let that go.
Okay. So you get sent home. At that point, are you thinking like, okay, I'm pretty much fixed? That was the issue. Or did you leave there knowing, oh my gosh, there's more and I don't want to go there and it's going to be nasty?
Good question.
What did it feel like?
Well, I went back home to the marital house, and that was a disaster because we were in that turmoil. And that was just an odd time. I feel it in my stomach now, in my gut. I'm like, it wasn't a good fit for us anymore. And I knew I was growing and I was getting healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people should get divorced because of that, right? That was our story and our issue, and we're all good now, which I told you, that's, everything's great.
Yep.
But I was having a hard time. What is going on? I was still reeling from the fact that I was sexually abused from my dad's brother between the ages of 2 and 5, multiple times, thrown downstairs. And it stopped when we moved out of one house into another because it was further away, and my uncle would babysit for us. My parents trusted him. We had a German Shepherd, typical cop family, right? Right?
Yeah.
And the only person that dog let in the house without having being locked up was my uncle and my grandmother, my father's mother. Everybody else you had to lock them away for. So my uncle was trusted there. And so I was not sure, right? I was in this point in my life where, what am I doing? I got this company going. I'm going through a divorce. Now this guy's saying I was abused, but now I have no more, curse. What is all that? I was just in
That's
turmoil.
a lot. Oh, man.
I was just in turmoil. And I didn't know how to process it.
Plus, you just lost a child.
Lost a child, right a year or two before that. Lost my dad right before that. The marriage was in I was in a loss. That's what made me start looking at this. Like, why is my life a disaster? I thought God loved me.
Right. Okay. So, on your first trip to Charles, Oklahoma, Did it come up, the 2 to 5 year old sexual abuse thing, or did that come up on the next trip? Like when you went back to New York, what did you know for sure? What were the facts that you
The
knew?
facts I knew was I was abused,
Okay.
and yet I had to come clean to, and admit all that stuff, which I did, and then we went through a deliverance, right? So I went through this, like, okay, break that sin off my life. But that's like, you feel it, right? You feel it when someone's dealing with all these emotions. So I did not address that issue the first time because it was a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you go see him again?
So I went out a month later, spent another week with Charles.
What was the plane ride like going there?
Man,
What emotions?
fear,
Did you think there was something?
uncertainty.
Yeah. Did you think there was something even deeper than that?
Well, there was a lot. Now, when you said that, the first time flying home, I was like, I can't do this. I can't go home. I don't know what to do. And I was starting to get like claustrophobic on the airplane. I'm like, what's going on? I've never had this problem before.
Yeah.
I mean, being a SWAT cop, I go in rooms smaller than this and we're ranging around and who cares, man?
Right.
Lock me in it. I'm ready to go.
Right. Right.
I was on the plane and I was flipping out going home. And I was like, all right, just calm down. Just stay calm. So it was a lot about to break free. But when those things come up, it's like, why is this happening, right? I would start asking questions. So that I knew on the way home that I wasn't done. But I didn't know what to be done with. Does that make sense?
Does it ever? So you're on a plane back in 1 month.
Right. And now on the way back, I was like wanting answers, but afraid to know the answer. Does that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Did a part of you at all say, maybe this guy could be wrong? Or were you just know for sure?
Do you know, here's something that when I think about that, it's a great question. Up until that point in my life, I always thought people knew me better than I knew myself. And I always listened to other people. They're more successful than me. So I didn't have a great self-image.
Yeah, right.
It was a habit. It became habitual.
Yeah.
Well, he drives a nicer car. He must be wealthier. He must be smarter.
Yep.
Oh, he's happy. He must be doing something I'm not. So what's wrong with me was always somewhere bouncing around. It wasn't a top level, but...
I got it. Yep.
So, and why am I not XYZ, ABC? Why am I not driving that Porsche right now? Well, back then it was, different cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. They're still there, but they were more affordable then. But, and so I knew that he knew something I didn't know, or I thought I knew he knew something I didn't know.
So you go out there, you get to Oklahoma. What does he say when he...
Trip 2.
Trip 2, what does he say? Do you remember when you saw him?
Well...
How did he greet you?
What I do remember, he's very warm and welcoming and calming, reassuring. We're going to work this together. I'm here with you. So we started with something called Theophostic Prayer Ministry.
Say it one more time.
Theophostic Prayer Ministry.
Huh.
They've even changed the name because it's really hard. And basically, when you boil it down, Charles and I, of course, we prayed. We asked the Lord to be there to guide to protect it. And he said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back in your mind to when you were 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and replay the scene of your uncle abusing you. I did that for days. And then...
How?
Well, you just let it out, let the memory run. Now, I'm not saying for people to do this.
Yeah.
This is what I did. There's different ways to do it now,
yeah.
right? And that's what I think the Lord's using that for people to understand there are many ways to get healed or to let go of those old memories that are toxic, really. I always had stomach issues coming up to that. IBS or whatever it was. I always, eat something, got to run.
Yeah.
All this stuff because it was getting stuffed into my body somewhere, right? These old emotions, they bounce around, they get lodged into, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but from what I've seen,
You've been through it though.
I've been through
And
a
that's
lot of
even
that
more
stuff.
powerful.
So we would unpack each scene, whatever, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I was holding on tight. It's like, okay, relax. I'm here. It's like a dad figure, right? Like a big brother or a dad figure. I never had a big brother, but, like a dad. Yeah. And he would calm me, and he said, okay, when you're in that scene, I want you to look for who else is with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who else is with me? And he did it right because I know now looking back, he could have planted seeds to say, well, find God in that picture. Well, of course you could find God because your mind can make it up.
Right.
The first time it happened, it was the clearest because that would made me realize that, okay, it was right. I said, Jesus is here. And he goes, what? Say it again. I said, Jesus is with me. And I saw like the Catholic picture of Jesus in a robe, but hanging in the air in my mind.
Yeah.
And he said, he is with you in every one of those scenes. He said, he is always with you. And we replayed every one of those scenes until I could find Jesus in every scene. And I'm crying, but it was beautiful and horrific at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that was what I had to do for a week. What I chose to do. I didn't have to, right? This is all on my do, right? Like Charles didn't hold me down and say, oh, do this. I mean, it's in my mind anyway.
Yeah.
But I wanted to let it go. And that's what, when I was old enough there, in my late 37, 38, whatever it was, I think I was old enough to go, I want to let this go. It's time to get rid of it. Somewhere, not consciously, because I didn't know it was there yet. So after a week of that, I was exhausted and exhilarated because it is a lot. Brain work, mind work is a lot of work.
Right.
It's a lot of getting rid of this conscious mind who wants to protect us always. Our brain wants to protect us, right?
Yeah.
You're a Secret Service, you know.
Yeah,
We're protectors. I was a cop.
Yeah.
I'm very protective.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we just talked about something a few minutes ago. I'm like, let's go do it together, you know. Let's
Right,
go protect, get rid of the bullies. Yeah, you know.
Yep.
So, so to be able to let that go, it's work to relax yourself enough to say, okay, what is really here?
Yeah.
So that week, I went through this theophostic prayer ministry. He had sent me tapes out like this. To watch VCR tapes because he didn't even have them on DVD, even though DVDs were around, but he didn't have them. We're not that old. But he really just said, I want you to be ready to let all this go, you know. And he was just fabulous at all of that stuff. And I feel like I was blessed. I was like, how did I get so lucky to find the right guy? Because I had been going to talk therapy for years, and talk therapy has its place, just not for this.
Just not for this. So is it the process and the steps that you took to help you get into that 2 to 5 year old brain? Because when you say that, I can't remember a single thing I did when I was 2 to 5. We don't even have memories, or at least that's what we've been told, that we don't have memories. So is it because of a process that you were able to get back there?
It was letting go of my brain thinking I can't remember that. And having the space and the time to relax and do. We had nothing else to do that day. I mean, he did have to go to his office, remember, and and he had to do all that. I'm saying remember, but he had to go do that and then come back and okay, we're good for 8 hours. You know. Yeah. So when you're sitting 1-to-1 with a guy for 8 hours who's trying to help you, and he's just patient and listening and encouraging, and you have nothing else to focus on in the world, not your kids, not your wife, not your business, except yourself.
Yeah.
Things change.
So is the symptom then, and the message right here, is that if you don't remember sections of your life, you need to ask deeper questions right now, because there could be something. Is that what this is about?
In a way, yes. And it doesn't have to be what I went through. It could be just your parents slammed the door going out of the bedroom and mad at you for something, and you could have people misinterpret that, and that's a little trauma thing, right? And they block that out.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this. But yes, if there's something blocking that, there's a reason. That's all. There's a reason.
Your subconscious goes to work, and your brain is so incredibly powerful that it can take those blocks of time, whether it's a day, a week, a month, a year, 3 years, 5 years, wrap something around it almost. Like, I'm just making this up, but wrap something around it inside of your own brain.
Right.
So you never tap into it again? Is this?
Yeah. And one of the docs I met along the way. Now, I went through a 20-year process, starting with Charles, finishing up with something else, right? And some of the doctors believe that a negative emotion that is hidden away becomes like, what do you call it when you have, not a cancer, but like a physical, like a lesion in your body, like a buildup, like a
Tumor or something?
tumor. Yeah, it doesn't have to be cancerous, but sometimes they believe if it comes from a trauma, right?
Wow.
If you get hit with something hard,
Yeah.
it could cause a tumor. But I've heard one of the docs, he said that's a dominant focus, and he said that will, that energy, that whatever it was that caused that trauma, your body's trying to fight it off. So if it manifests physically, it could become a tumor. Now, if it's cancerous or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just becomes something that's,
Yeah.
So your body, your body and your mind, they all work together. See, I think what I've learned is that the emotional part of our lives really helps with our physical health, right? When you're emotionally healthy, right?
For sure.
If you're nervous all the time, man, your stomach gets in knots, and right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about it. When we do missions, right? You would do forwards, you would do advances rather, and you would go in, and have people, you'd be on security. You're on high alert. But if you
live
didn't,
in knots.
right? You live in it.
You live in it. What ifs?
What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? Okay, I solved this problem. Go here, go there. If that happens, then I got to go to that, and this guy goes there. It's always. So you're in, yellow, red alert, whatever, depending, but the body can't live like that forever. So that's why that built up at that point for me. I was living in stress response all the time, fight or flight mode, since I was 2 years old.
Then take your life, add some alcohol to it, add some drugs to it, add some this, that, all these other coping mechanisms.
Food.
And you could just make it disappear and not even know. You can go decades and not even know that you have a problem.
Right.
But it's
food,
so
exercise, work.
Right. It would be the antithesis, like the opposite, but
No, over-exercise.
using it to numb.
6 days a week, 7 days a week, every day, got to run, whatever.
Because I can't feel. That's the danger part. I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel emotion.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Was there Lou 1.0 to Lou 2.0? Can you get me down to the second where it was like, or the minute or the day where it just all left your body and you went from feeling like 200-pound Lou to I'm walking on clouds, or I dropped a 200-pound backpack?
Yeah, good question.
Does it happen that way?
Not overnight.
Okay.
So I started that 20 years ago, and in 2023, something was still bugging me, and I'm like, I am so mad now because I'm very right. It was 2-3 years ago. In my book, there's a woman named Rachel who helped me out, and this is important for people to understand. Emotions need time to be processed. Once I knew that the abuse was there and I went and relived those scenes, Great. But now what?
That's it, right. Now what?
So I was looking for someone a couple years after that, within a year or so of meeting Charles, and the second time I was there for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
NLP, okay.
And that doctor who told me about the null mutation and the stuff in my family line had a woman at his practice that was, one day shows up, I'm looking for someone NLP. She goes, I practice NLP. I'm like, okay, you're my girl. Let's go. She's a Brit living in New Jersey. It was hilarious.
Wow, what a tie-in.
So
you got your person.
we started working together to, here's what happens. The brain has synapses, right? And they fire and they form neural pathways based on our beliefs. Well, at 2 years old to 5 years old, my brain was still, all of our brains are still developing. Again, I'm not a doctor. Through study and through experience. And so now I have to rewire those beliefs. I wasn't dirty. I wasn't shameful. I wasn't guilty. I wasn't a bad guy because that happened to me. So think about this for you and for all of us, and even the listener. We're guys. You and I are freaking dudes, right? I mean, Secret Service, SWAT, training, team, kicking indoors. I'm still in the gym kicking butt, right?
Yeah.
And I was sexually abused. If it was by a girl, wouldn't it be great? Oh, well, that would have been fun.
Yeah,
it still would have been traumatic.
Sure.
But by a male and a family member, like dad's brother, that is shameful for a guy like us to have to. It still makes me like, oh, that's
Person
gross.
that's supposed to protect you and be
Right.
trusted around you.
So think about all that going on in someone's life. Male, female, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But male on male, to me, is like the worst, right? So I had to process those emotions. And as Rachel developed her practice, I developed, and we went through something called, for a long time, it was a journey. We would journey into my subconscious mind. She would just be there to listen and make sure I would ask questions. What are you sensing? What are you feeling? What do you see? And I'd tell her, okay, what is that? You know, she basically was a guide.
Yeah.
It's important for people to know when you go find someone to help, you want someone who doesn't plant thoughts or seeds. They just ask, what are you sensing? What does that mean to you? Have you thought about why? You know, things like that, instead of saying, oh, well, you were abused, so that you don't want any judgment. Well, you're going to act like this. Well, if you're in your subconscious mind, you got to battle that, and I never wanted that. The other thing that I found is, in my belief, I asked Jesus into every session I did with her. I said, Jesus, I believe you're here. You're going to help us through this. And I said, I invite you into this session. That was my protection, to be not misled.
Yeah.
So, and as I did that, we would sit, and I want to explain this to you because it's very powerful. We sat, I mean, I did timeline therapy, Gestalt therapy, I mean, all kinds of therapy, right? I mean, and if you read some really successful people, they've done the same thing because they're trying to solve the puzzle. It's a puzzle, right?
Wow.
So we did something after our journeys, then we came to something called the campfire. I loved campfire scenes. It's unconditional love, eternal silence. I would picture in my subconscious sitting next to a campfire with my uncle, my grandparents. My grandmother was aware of this. My grandfather, I don't know. And I would blast him. Well, how do you feel? Oh, man. And I let it all out. I lit up. She goes,
in your mind?
In my mind.
Or
and I feel it in my body. No, I spoke out loud. I would speak out loud. But I was in my subconscious, but I was letting them have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then here's what she did. Brilliant. Now that you've emptied out, what would your uncle say to you? And I go, well, I don't care. I don't know. No. Go deeper into your mind. What would he say? Oh, he would say, and all of a sudden, one day I opened my mouth and it started coming out. And I was like, what is this stuff? This is wild. Our minds are powerful. We are all connected, brother. We are all connected.
What was that? What were some of your answers?
Oh,
What would your uncle
some of
say
my
to you?
uncles said, well, I was just jealous. I knew how special you were, and I didn't want you to be, because I never had what you have. You have loving parents, and he would just give it back to me. And he would blame me because he was upset with his life.
And spoke out that way.
Spoke out. And then she said, okay, now you respond to him in love. I go, guy beat me, man.
Was it physical? Okay, so it was both though. It was physical and sexual. And is there an
yeah.
actual difference between the two? Is it the obvious, or can one be the other and one?
No, it was sexual, all kinds of stuff.
So, but he was also there was physical abuse.
Oh yeah, threw me down, stairs
Downstairs,
and
yeah.
smacked, beat me up a little bit. But at 2 years old, when you get backhanded by a 40-year-old guy, that's pretty rough,
Oh.
Threatened to kill me if I told my parents, things like, or threatened to kill my sisters if I told my parents. Which me, at that point, I was too young to care. I didn't know. I wasn't afraid of that after what I'd been through. But threatening to kill my sister, and that came out when I had to tell my mom about this when I released my book. And she's like, why didn't you tell us? And I said, I don't know. But after all this work, I said, because he had threatened to kill me, my sister.
At still that really young age?
Yeah, well, when she was born, it happened after the first one was born until the third one was born, I think, so.
Wow. That's incredible. So tell me about the work.
So the campfire was letting it go and then going, okay, I forgive you.
Yeah.
But not just, I forgive you. It's good. No, I had to feel it. Rachel goes, you need to feel it in every cell of your body. How do you do that? Well, you just let it happen. I worked with Rachel for 17 years since Charles. And I was like, all right, I'm getting a little, all right, Lord, we got to put a cap on this. I'm done. And, I don't know our timing, so I want to kind of bring it to
This is great.
good.
No.
So, and I worked with Rachel, and it cost me a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
And this stuff isn't cheap.
Yeah.
Tens and tens of, you look back, the Porsche is in here. Maybe the Lamborghini is in here, Depends on which Porsche.
Right.
Anyway, but I had a deep, something in my mind said, if I get this right, I'll make billions, right? And I'm not about making the billions, right?
Yeah,
but it's about the impact I can make in the world.
Yeah.
But it was gnawing that get this done. Whatever this inside is bugging you, solve it. Because then you're free, really free. So I worked with Rachel. In 2020, we moved from New Jersey to Georgia. And I was working with Rachel still a little bit, and I was starting to get a little like, all right, I've been through this long time now. I'm pushing 60 here. I had to let go. So why am I paying her thousands of dollars to do this stuff? I talked to my wife about it, and I met somebody, a friend of mine. We were in San Antonio, Leslie and I, and we went to see a friend of ours, a woman I've known for 20 some odd years, businesswoman, successful, never married, had 2 kids through a donor, and just very smart, very intelligent. And we went to see her, and she was glowing. And Leslie and I go, what is going on with you? She goes, read this book. And if you're interested, you let me know. The book is called A Dose of Hope. I had it in my Audible that day. I was done in however fast I could listen to that thing. And then I got a copy, right? And I'm like, I was just tired of chasing what's wrong with me. Why do I have to have someone else to help me be, right? That's where most people live all their life. Think about that, right? I mean, we talk about it.
Over-therapized. Yeah.
Right. We don't, and I got, and my personality type is what they call D or choleric or choleric, whatever you want to say. But it's like, I want control, but I want control of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, we talk about that in the Christian world, like you're a warrior. We need to be a warrior over our own stuff. We need to be the conqueror of ourself.
Yeah.
Then everything else is fine, because then you could say anything to me and I go, okay, no, why are you saying that? Instead of, let's go.
Yeah, sword fight, knife fight, yeah.
Because I still have the switch, you still have the switch, we'll always have the switch that we need to go, we go, right? I mean, and that makes me feel good that I have that switch, right?
Right.
But there's some ego in there, right? But it's also confidence in knowing that we're okay.
Yeah.
I read that book, A Dose of Hope. Dr. Dan, I don't recall his last name. And I said to my friend Mandy, I go, where did you go? She goes, call this person. Her name is Puma. I'm like, I am not calling a woman named Puma. Give me a freaking
Here
break.
we go again, right?
Right. Do you know that the Lord uses these simple things to confound the wise, right? And I'm like, but her business partner's name is Morgan. Dude.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I was like, thank God. I got at least somebody who's a little, So, and this is very, this is real and personal, and this is my story.
Yep.
And whatever people think is what they're going to think, but it worked. So I went to this place, some unknown place in Arizona that is off the grid, totally awesome.
Yeah.
Morgan built it out himself. And, I've given the book to people and say, if you really want freedom, you need to go see him. So I'm very careful with what I do because I don't want to be misled. I've already said that,
Yeah.
even though I'm confident, I know there's ways to pull people off track because I'm human. And I've been off track myself many times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
this
sure.
morning. I go spend a couple of days with these folks.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what they say. What do you want in your life? I go, oh, crap, man, I got this stuff journaled. I have books. I have solid volumes of what I want in my dreams and, who I'm going to be and who I am. But what do you really want? Boil it down. Write it down. Okay. Write out some goals. You're going to take it to God. I go, I'm going to take it to God. Yeah. This is what you want, right? You want answers, you're going to get answers. But you need to know what you want. So this is a therapy that conservative, Christian, white male would probably be like, who's going to, Catholic, Italian, who's going to say this guy would ever do this, right?
Right.
It's called MDMA. Have you heard of that? MDMA.
Okay.
They use it in medical circles to help people. And we'll talk more about it offline.
Yeah.
But it puts you into your subconscious and it takes away your conscious mind's control for a few hours.
Ah. Yeah, okay. I do know a use of it. I know when they use it.
Right.
I got you.
So, but this was very structured, guided, right? Okay, this is proper for where you're going to be, and people are there making sure everything is right.
Yeah.
But another, don't tell my wife, several $1,000s,
Yeah.
And the Lord has shown me He'll take care of that. But to be free for me was priceless. And so I spent a weekend there. And I got there after all this 20 years of work, or 18, 19 years of work. And I was still a little jacked. I'm sitting in the woods talking, like out on the riverside, not in the woods, talking to this guy, Morgan. What's going on? He goes, why are you so? I go, well, I'm always on high alert. He goes, you don't need to live that way. I don't? No. That's why you're here. I'm like, I am? Yeah. Look, I'm just turning 60, and I'm like, I'm still on high alert and still dealing from 5 years old. The body takes a long time to let go of this stuff, and the mind is even longer.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we have a quiet time. It's just me and him quiet. I wrote down what I wanted. They chuckled about it. You want that? I go, yeah, I want that. And I'm going to get it. They said, okay, here we go. You got 2 to 5 hours of whatever. This is your journey. I had heard that word before working with Rachel. So I knew how to go in the subconscious. And Morgan said, okay, just breathe and ask your questions. Just breathe and ask questions. That's all my job was to do.
Wow.
And the Lord met me there in a way I've never felt before. And he helped me understand. And he solved the problem of who's in control, not me,
Yeah.
him. He solved the problem of how to live in joy and love. And let him control. Joy and love is how he wanted us. He wants us to live.
Mm.
He solved the problem of, yeah, there's a lot of definitions of God. But love is the power of the universe, is what I learned in that session. Love. And I'm like, what kind of love, right? Like I was, but without any conscious thoughts going on and knowing how to get deep into my subconscious, those 17, 18 years of working up to that helped me cap it. And I came back, and here's what the Lord said to me. And people go, oh, you spoke to the Lord. Well, no, he spoke to me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we had a conversation, which is what he wants. But our subconscious mind is where it all happens. And he said, you can leave here with more than Coach Prime confidence. And I laughed. And I'm like, I love Coach Prime. And he goes, you can laugh, man. I want you to be in joy and laugh. And I was like, man, why are we so tense? Why are we so uptight? Why am I want to, guy cuts me off in traffic. Why do I want to,
Right.
It's not the way it's meant.
Yeah.
So when we're in a peaceful state, our body works better, our mind works better, our relationships. So 20-year journey, starting out with living at my mom's, finding out that an atrocious thing happened to me as a kid, capping it off with, it's just a distant memory and a distant lesson, and it was used for a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And now I have 2 things in my life to do outside of my family and the normal, not the normal, but the the family things.
Sure.
I have 2 missions in life, and I'm on them.
What are they?
One is to help people in my business, in my health coaching business, to get free of their health issues. Help them.
Physical.
Yep.
Got
But
it.
we have a whole thinking component in that program, which leads them to say, I want to check this out. You can call this guy, call this girl, call this guy, call this girl. Get yourself together.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
The other one is child sex trafficking. We need to do something about it. And with my background and with the people that are being put into place, there will be a network to help stop that.
Yeah.
Because that is damaging human beings.
So I interviewed a guy, we didn't talk about this before we close. I interviewed a guy a couple times who started Deliver Fund. He's a former CIA guy, and he's leading the country in, he calls them reconnects, kids and families that are going through human trafficking.
Wow.
Connecting them back. And they're behind a lot of really big stuff, really big, like the Epstein stuff. They just made an announcement.
Wow.
That his software was part of a big piece of that. Yeah. So Deliver Fund. He's in what his special. What makes them so unique and so effective is they hire former law enforcement.
That's my vision too.
Military law enforcement to help get into communities. So anyway, okay, give me a message to everybody out there. What do you want to say?
I want to say, excuse me, sorry. I want to say be patient with yourself, love yourself, and look inside. Look inside. Why do you react when your wife says X and you blow up? Or why do you react when your husband says Y? It's not just your relationship. There's something deeper, right? Why do you, I'm from Jersey, man, I know how to drive. I was a cop. I have all kinds of driving lessons, motorcycle, how to drive. I grew up on but why when somebody cuts me off do I want to just blast them off the road? That anger, why is that? solve that? Why is it, like me maybe, you're not feeling your best? Why is it you always feel, somebody's better than you? Ask those questions in your own quiet time, whether you believe in Lord or you believe in whatever you believe in. Yeah. Ask your subconscious mind. I would say ask God to, ask really the one I believe is Jesus to go to the Father. That's how we're learned. Yeah. But ask the creator of the universe. That way you don't have to give him a name. Ask the creator of the universe, help me. What is it that you want me to know about this? And then solve it. Wow. And go live a great life.
Bonus question. I got to ask it.
Do it.
So when you look at your whole story now, the parts that you knew, the parts that you didn't, what's the biggest thing that it's taught you about being human?
That's a really good question. Patience with people. Everybody is going through something, which is cliche, and I don't mean to be cliche. Yeah. But we don't know. I don't know what you went through because you probably don't know what you went through, right?
No, I don't. So, I used to think, but I don't anymore.
I'm not trying to.
And I love it. This is great.
But just love and be patient with people because we don't know. Yeah. We don't know. Nobody knew about me. Yeah. They still don't. When I meet somebody, and then when I open up the door a little bit, they're just like, and then they're like,
I would never know this if I didn't have a podcast, and my giftedness is
it's finding out about people.
Just like knowing people so incredibly deep. But but this is what connects us.
Exactly.
Like, because now I look and now I examine my own life, but I'm also thinking, so we don't know somebody's story, big picture, but there's also, we don't know what somebody went through 15 minutes ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The day to,
yeah, we just never know. So love and be patient with people is my messages.
That's the message. Thank you so much.
Yeah, brother.
For doing this.
Thanks for having me, man. That was awesome.
Special and awesome. I appreciate it.
I hope it.
Great. Wow. Oh.